Now, if evil is older than us, Charles, right? I'm thinking to myself, make your point, Charles. Like I don't know where you're going with this. So evil is older than us. What now? What now? Trayvon Martin is dead, and Ahmaud Arbery is dead, and Diallo is dead. I think that before we go on our marches and before we picket the streets and before we set other zones on fire and before we loot Target, let us pause and think whether or not this evil that makes a man take another man's life, whether or not that evil is completely outside of us, right? Because what the man said was that let him that is without sin cast the first stone, right? Let him that is without sin cast the first stone. And it says that they all, starting from the oldest to the youngest, laid down their stones and they walked off. And he says that woman, has no one condemned you? I think that if we can begin to understand that there isn't a disproportionate percentage of white people who are out there trying to kill black people, but that there is this thing, this evil that is older than us, that is at work in us, right? I see evil in myself, right? Sometimes, right? I see its shadows, right? You see its shadows when you want to reach for that second, third serving of sushi, knowing that other people haven't been able to get to the tray, right? That is evil. Now, you don't say that, Charles, you're going to compare that kind of evil to the evil that makes a man unload 40 bullets in a man. It's evil still, right? It's evil still. That's all I'm saying. That it's evil, and that maybe we can pause, right? Because what happens when, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 black people gather in a place and say that give us justice is that if you're an alien, you look at that situation and you say, oh, look at all these black people come out to say that it's a terrible what happened to Tamir Rice, and it's terrible what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. But I think that that draws a very simple line, right? And I don't trust simple lines. It draws a simple line that says that we are here and we are oppressed by the man, and the man is white people. Because I think that's too simple, you know? It doesn't go to the heart of it, right? Black men are killing black men. I mean, it's a terrible thing. And I know the defense against that, right? It's the argument that no, you know, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, and that is true. That is true. But I think it's wonderful that, at least in America, right, we can hope for some justice for Tamir Rice's family and Ahmaud Arbery's family. And it's sad. I think that it's heartbreaking still that without camera evidence, right, that maybe maybe the police would not have taken it too seriously, right? Um, the cops would have come and told us the old story, right? He was resisting arrest, and so we try to control him, and he died in custody, or some such nonsense. But now we get the video evidence, and so we can take that to court, right? And and that is a great grace, you know, the ability to know that you can. There's a place where justice may be had, or where there might be hope for justice, because there are very, very many places in the world where men get no justice at all, right? China, Russia, right? Where America, right? America 60, 50 years ago, right? Um, a Mattel, right? A bullet from the back of a bush took Medgar Evers' blood. A finger found a trigger to his name. A hand that hid out in the dark. A hand hid the spark behind a man's brain. But he can't be blamed. He's only a pawn in that game. Right? Yeah, I'm keeping my day job. Right? Medgar Evers didn't get no justice. Emmett Till didn't either, right? Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I want to say to you, my brothers, that that it's bad, but it's getting better. It's getting better. And we're gonna get there, right? But we have to love a little bit more, and we have to put a little more distance between ourselves and our anger, right? Because this is also what we learn from the Eastern approach to the problem of existence, is that in the East, it says that when a man encounters any experience, whether it's from his memory or from his senses, that this memory and this experience is reflected in his mind. And behind his mind lies his consciousness. And that consciousness is Brahman, right? That consciousness is God. But the mind has the ability to create a hell out of heaven, so that when the man's mind is illumined by his memory, by something that he remembers, or by something that he senses, without the capacity to distance himself from the immediacy of his response, what he finds himself doing is something that is regrettable, because he has become that feeling, right? When a man strikes my mother, right, or strikes my sister or my brother, my immediate response is to annihilate that man, right? My immediate response is to pound that man into the ground. And perhaps I should, but I am hoping that I can pause a little bit to catch myself, so that I do not become one with my observation, right? This is what's really cool, right? So in Vedic thought, there is the supposition that a man can kill another man without anger, you know? And it's really interesting that I can take a man and kill him peacefully, without anger. What does that even mean, right? It means that the man is able to act with disinterest, right? It's kind of like those of us who grew up in different cultures, right? Man, right? When I was growing up, right? Um, I'd mess around, and my dad would take a whoop to me, right? Because that's what they did. And I remember catching sight of the anger in his eyes and beginning to wonder if it wasn't about my correction anymore, right? It wasn't about correcting me anymore. It was his anger needing a place to spend itself. Because there are other ways, right? Because there are other ways. But the point that I'm trying to make again is this idea that that evil is not something that can be assigned to a race or a people or a nationality, but that evil is a force older than man that continues to operate from inside of him And that my conclusion now, so in the West, right, in the Western tradition, we say when you encounter evil, you pray, right? Pray for your enemies, right? That's what Jesus says. He says, pray for your enemies. It's like, you know, there's evil inside of them and it's going to seek to destroy, kill, and maim, and all you can do is pray. And in the East, they say that when you encounter evil, that you show it, right? That you show it. That some way, somehow, you can take away darkness by bringing light, ignorance by education,